Okay, here's another episode of Fix It. This is a Craftsman Weedwacker 25cc. Problem is it won't start. And if you notice, when you prime the fuel, this little bulb usually is sticking out nice and puffy, and you'll see it's flat. And I was trying to figure out why it was doing that. There was no suction on it. After messing with it for an hour or so, I noticed this. You can see in here, this gas line was cut a little bit, so there was no suction in here. So we're gonna have to replace this gas line that goes into the fuel tank. Okay, all right, so we are gonna take the old fuel line out, this part, and drain your fuel tank before we replace this line. This one had this little valve on it, so we're going to feed the new line in. This here is a universal fuel line kit we got at the store. It's supposed to fit all kinds of brands. Just measure your inner or outer diameter to fit your existing fuel line that you're replacing. And then the end of that is going to look, it's going to have a little cut on the end of it. It's going to be, this one was already cut at an angle, makes it easier to get in the hole. You may have to wet it a little bit to get it in the hole tight, because it's supposed to be kind of airtight inside the tank. And you sort of work it into the tank. This is the return line. I don't know if these color codes mean anything, but this is the blue line. It was blue at one point. And you're gonna work this line into the tank. It says to leave about a ½ inch in the tank for this return line. And just get it in there about a ½ inch. Okay, then we're going to, once you got it in the tank about a ½ inch, get rid of the old piece. You're gonna measure to the end of your inlet here, the fuel line, and then cut it. Give it a little bit of slack. The old one had a little bit of slack on it. Try to make it square. Then fit it back onto the carb. Okay, we should be in there. Okay, so we're going to take off the other fuel line, which is the fuel input, and also pull the fuel filter out of the tank, which is in there. We're going to try to clean this out with some carb cleaner. Take this guy off, filter off the end. Alright, you see the line's clean. Let's see if we can clean this guy. Coming through, so I feel that the filter should be good. We'll pop it back on and put it back in the tank. Alright, then we're going to take the bulb off here and clean out the inlet port. Just 2 Phillips head screwdrivers needed here. And mark this so it goes on the correct way, which I'm going to do. Okay, I'm going to take this off. Be careful. Stay that way. And then we're going to clean this guy out. After you finish spraying it out, just put these 2 screws back on. You see we marked it there so we know where it lines up on the body. Tighten those good. And we will fill it back up with gas and we'll give it a try. All right, you're gonna take the 2 screws out of the bulb, and this will come apart. This is where the return goes into the tank, and you're gonna see a gasket on top of here. We're gonna clean these out with some carb cleaner. This is where the fuel comes into the carb. So shooting some in there, you can see it coming out of the hole, so it looks like it's clear. And then there's this other piece here where the fuel shoots into the bulb. Because remember, our bulb wasn't filling, and we're going to spray this guy out. And also this little rubber piece that goes underneath the bulb. I'm going to take this out. Okay, and that little guy is where this little pinhole is where the fuel should come in the other way. And you should see it coming out that side, which it is. Okay, and then we're going to put all this back together in the reverse. All right, go. Okay, so on this unit here, we found the carburetor had a bad diaphragm, was dried out. Pieces were coming off it, and the gasket was dried out. Still would not prime even after I cleaned the entire carburetor. So we're just going to replace the carburetor. The rebuild kit is about $7-8. The whole new carburetor is only about $10. So you get the whole carburetor and the adjustment tool for the mixture screws with that. So I'll leave a link here to show you where to get that. So we're just going to replace the carburetor with a new one. And I'm going to start taking the old one off. You're going to take these 2 screws off of the air filter assembly. Just loosen those up. Get a flat head on this one. And we'll pull the fuel lines out. And this comes right off of the engine housing. And then you have your throttle linkage here. Just make sure you remember which way it went in. So the top, you'll see that little tick that comes out of the bottom, that's going to hook underneath it. So we're just going to undo that, and the carburetor's out. Okay, so the new carb, I should mention that the carburetor is a T973. It's stamped on the side here where the inlet is. I'll leave the part number on the bottom comments. So the new one didn't come with the gasket that goes to the air cleaner side. So you're going to peel that one off here very carefully with a flat head. Careful. Put it on the new carb. Alright, so we're gonna line the gasket up. And then put your 2 screws in the holes. And then bring it into your engine. Fit those down in there. Screws. Just hand tighten these to start, just to get them started. You don't want to strip anything. Make sure they're going in easily. Then put your fuel lines back. The return line is on the front where the bulb is. That's this blue one, which I had already replaced. sounds better already. Then we're going to tighten. Let's get our linkage back on here first. That's going to hook back in that hole. Push it down and it should, yeah, be in there. Just give it a couple of pulls on the throttle. And then we'll finish tightening these top ones on. Here are these 2 screws. I should probably make sure that the factory screws are tight on the back. Let's stay on it actually. Now this may require some adjustment. That's why it's good that they included the tool, because these could be set at factory settings, defaults for the mixture screws. So that's one thing you do have to consider when you replace the entire carburetor. All right, and we're going to tighten the rest of these up, and then we're going to give it a try.